welcome back to my channel and welcome to episode 5 of the Lunar podcast. My name is Lori and I'm your host here. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, my blog at Lunar by Lori. I'm located in Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my husband and my 2 wonderful dogs. And we just got a nice fresh dusting of snow outside, so I am all cozied up in one of my favorite sweaters. I didn't make this one. It's from American Eagle. I thrifted it and I absolutely love it. It's super cozy. So I am just trying to stay warm today. I am about to go out and walk one of my dog clients. I am a dog walker if you don't know. So 5 days a week I walk lots of beautiful, rambunctious little puppies, and it's the best job in the entire world. I absolutely love it. But on the side, I also run Lunar Knits and I just knit my hands away all day long. So I have a few things to show you today, not very many, but I can't wait to get started. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a quick stash acquisition or a enhancement to my collection. It's not any yarn or anything like that. It's more of a notion. I have this beautiful project bag here that I got from Autumn and Indigo. She gets these from Tanny Casey, I believe that's how you say it, and she sells them on her website. So I'm going to show you the label for the creator of the bag. If you can see, hopefully you're going to be able to pick that up. It's kind of hard to show because it's on the inside, but there's the creator of it. But I did get this from Autumn and Indigo. I'll have it linked down below. But this is a waxed canvas bag, so it's very high quality, very thick, and it's like, I gotta get it worn in so it will close all the way because it's very high quality. Like, it's really thick because it's got canvas on the inside as well. I did already go ahead and stick one of my pins on there. I absolutely love it. I think I got the colorway Slate. I can't remember quite off the top of my head. It's been a little bit. And then the bottom of the bag is just a nice brown color. And this is gonna be so nice for sweaters. It's huge. Like, I think this is the biggest project bag that I have. So I definitely will be using this for some nice big sweaters when I start making them. On the inside, there is one big pocket with 2 like little eyelets here, so you can thread your yarn through if you're doing color work, which is super nice so it doesn't get tangled. But overall, it's just a really nice bag. Like I said, it is kind of hard to close when you first get them, but on the website it does mention that as you use it, it will loosen up, which I totally believe. Usually things like this do loosen up over time. I haven't used it yet. I don't have a project to put in it. I'm kind of saving it for the perfect project. Plus, I have a few things that I'm going to show you. A little bit of sewing actually this time. So stay tuned for that at the end if you're interested to see what I've been sewing to kind of keep me from using this one right away. But that's the only thing that I've added to my collection this time, and I'm very happy with it. I cannot wait to give it a go. I believe these were really fairly priced. I want to say this one was $45, which is extremely good for a bag this size. I've seen lots of bags that are in that same price range that aren't canvas, they're just like cotton bags, which I'm not saying anything's wrong with that because I personally love those just as much. But if you're comparing it to like a Field Supply Co bag or whatever those are called, I think $45 is totally fair and actually a little underpriced. So I really highly recommend checking out these. She had like 5 or 6 colors, and then she had some different sizes as well. This is the medium size bag and I'm very happy with that purchase. So that's the only thing, like I said, that I'm adding to my collection this time, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into all of the yarny things, which honestly isn't very many, but let's get into it anyways. Okay, so I do have one finished object that I unfortunately don't have physically right now. I did ship it back to the shop owner. So as I mentioned in my last episode, I was going to be sample knitting for Hello Stella Yarn, or Hello Stella Fibers, if you will. And I sample knitted the Marettimo top by Caitlin Hunter. I'll try to insert a picture over the screen or something of the finished top. It's also gonna be in the thumbnail of this video. And you'll see it all over my Instagram if you follow me on there. And I'll try to put a picture in my show notes as well. But I did the Marettimo top for her, and it was an extremely quick knit for me. It took about 6 days from the time I got the yarn until I finished it. And then there was like a day in there that I didn't work on it at all, but I think the yarn arrived like right after I finished the last podcast, maybe a day or two after, and I cast it on immediately. I used her colorways. Dirty Blonde was the main color, so it's this really nice orange color with lots of colors in it, which was so much fun to work with. And then for the lace portion, it was a color called Narwhal, I believe. Or no, it was called Oak Park, and it was like a nice seafoamy green color. I really liked that one. I've made a top with it before, and definitely one of my favorite colors to knit with. And then the contrasting color to separate the two was called Narwhal, and it was like a nice tonal navy color. And honestly, it was like a weird combination when I got it, but after I knitted it up, I was obsessed. So for this pattern, usually patterns are the thing that I just can't put down. Like, I'm like, this pattern is so addicting, I have to keep going. But this time, with this particular project, it was more of the yarn. I just needed to see what was gonna come up next with the Dirty Blonde colorway, because it was just a surprise around every row. I absolutely loved that. It was a knitting experience. Like, the yarn itself was just an experience to knit with, and I think that's one of the most fun, especially when you pair it with such a beautiful pattern like the Marettimo tee. It is a very simple knit, so if you are new to making garments, if you're new to lace, anything like that, it's the perfect beginner pattern. It's the most simple lace pattern you'll find out there, and then it's a lot of stockinette. So I really highly recommend it if you're wanting to make your first garment and you're just not sure. The construction of it is super basic. It's work from the bottom up, and then you split for the sleeves, and then you do the neckline. There is a little bit of shaping, so it's a great way to learn that. And then you pick up for the sleeves, and the sleeves are short sleeved, so you're not gonna be on Sleeve Island very long. I finished both the sleeves in the same day, no problem. And the sleeves also have some of that lace pattern, which is really nice. The Marettimo tee, if you're not familiar, is a sister tee of the Tenya top that Caitlin Hunter has with the lace on the bottom. I showed it in one of my previous podcast episodes, so it's kind of similar to that one, but I did find that the construction on the top half was quite different from what I remember when I made my Tenya, which was about a year ago, so I can't be sure, but it was quite different on the top, and it wasn't bad. It was easy, but it was a little bit, some extra steps in there, if you will, but nothing too complicated. Caitlin Hunter's patterns are written very well, so you're not gonna have very much trouble with it at all. So I'm really happy that I got the opportunity from Lindsay of Hello Stella Fibers to make that top, because I personally don't think I would have made it on my own. But I'm glad that I did make it, and maybe I will make one for myself after making that one, because I loved the fit of it. I did swatch for it because it was for somebody else, and it had a ton of positive ease. It was flowy and drapey, and I absolutely loved it. I used the Ginny Surprisingly Stretchy Cast Off on everything, because you want a stretchy neckline, you want your sleeves to be stretchy, so that's very important. Caitlin does say use a stretchy bind off in the pattern, so I really recommend that one. It's really simple to do, and it's very stretchy. I did have to frog one of the sleeve portions, the lace portion of the sleeves once, which was fine. It wasn't very much work at all, but I forgot to add some of the rows in there, which is pretty important of a step. But overall, that was totally fine. And Lindsay's yarn was so fun to work with. I absolutely loved it. I blocked it, and it did bleed a little bit. I blocked it in a lukewarm water, verging on the cold side, but it still bled into the other colors a little bit, which I feel pretty bad about, but that's what you get with pinks, especially when you pair them with lighter colors. So that's something to be very conscious of whenever you're going to be wet blocking something that has something as intense as a pink or a red. It's just like when you do laundry, you just really want to watch it. As soon as I saw it happening, I pulled it from the water, and I really saved the piece as much as I could. But it looks totally fine, and a lot of times you can't even see it unless you're like really looking for it. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I had an issue with on the top itself, but I really don't think I did. It was really simple to knit, and it was just mindless, really. It's a lot of stockinette, and if you're more of an advanced knitter, the lace section is gonna be a breeze for you. I had it memorized and wasn't even looking at the pattern for a majority of the time, so I really highly recommend that one. And I think that's enough talk about the Marettimo top. Like I said, that was my only finished object this time. I spent most of my time just focusing on that because I wanted to get it to her as soon as possible. She is in Canada, and I always worry about the shipping situation, and I wanted to make sure that she had plenty of time if there were any shipping customs issues at all, that she would get it in time for what she needed it for. So I went ahead and got that shipped out. I thought about filming a portion of the video and inserting it in, and maybe that's what I should have done, but I hope that the picture suffices enough for you guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into my only work in progress. I haven't really been knitting too much. I've been doing a little bit of sewing, and then I had some custom orders I had to do. So if you remember that double brim hat that I showed you last time, I had a pretty big custom order of those that I needed to make up. So I focused on those, and I've been focusing on some sewing, but I did do a little bit of knitting on my no frill sweater that I showed you last time, and it was just a little tiny amount that you didn't really get a peek of, and I put a lot of work in on it yesterday. So let me grab that really quick and we'll go ahead and show you everything. Okay, so my no frill sweater by Petite Knits is living in this bag still until it grows a little bit more. I'm sure I'm going to have to move it out because it's filling it up quite well at this point. And if you're not familiar with the no frill sweater, it's just a very basic top-down raglan made with like a fingering weight yarn held together with a mohair. And I'm actually going to go ahead and show you the yarns that I'm using really quickly before I show you the project. I'm using Knox yarn for my mohair, and this is in the color Dreamscapes. It's in her Flora sock base, and it's 20% kid mohair, 55% superwash merino, and 25% nylon. And it is absolutely gorgeous, so soft. It's got a ton of colors through it. I like oranges and blues and pinks and purples. I'm obsessed with this. I've had it in my collection for quite some time now, and I finally am using it, so I'm very happy with that. That is being held together with this Hedgehog Fibers yarn, sock yarn I should say, and Salty Tails. I got this in my fiber share last year, and I loved it. She did such a good job, my fiber share partner did. So she gifted me 2 of these, and I didn't know what to do with them. 2 isn't quite enough for a sweater. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out, but I did check on Ravelry, and there are a few people selling some of this, so I'll probably snag another skein before I finish the project, which I would ideally like to have done by Saturday, but we're not gonna push ourselves like that. But it's just a nice gray base, which I'm all for because gray is one of my favorite colors. And it's got a lot of blues and purples and then some orange speckles, and I think it just paired really nicely with this one. I wanted something pretty matchy-matchy, to be honest with you, and I love that this brings in a little bit more color to the gray, so it's a lot of fun. And I will go ahead and show you the sweater now because that's what you're waiting for. So without further ado, here is my no frills sweater. I do have it on slightly too small of needles, so you're not gonna get the best view of it. This is the back and here's the front, but I just wanna give you a look at how those colors are working up together, the Hedgehog Fibers as well as the Knox yarn. And I don't know if you can see the halo on that, but it's giving me a gorgeous halo, and it's really soft. I cannot wait to wear this. I did try it on because I was worried that it would irritate my skin, and it doesn't at all. It felt really good against my neck, so that was what was most important for me. And as you can see, it's not pooling or anything. I'm not alternating skeins. Maybe I should, but I don't know. Maybe I'll alternate skeins right before I switch colors. We will see, because this one honestly does look a little bit more tonal than the other one. But I think with the mohair, it kind of covers up any of those imperfections that are happening. So this is the no frill sweater. It's by Petite Knits, and I do have a few things to say about it. It is a very simple raglan sweater. However, if you are a new knitter, you will probably find it pretty confusing to read, especially like the short row section and the raglan. I also read a few things on Ravelry that said like the underarm cast on was a little weird to read, but you have to be aware that Petite Knits is not an American designer. She gets her patterns translated, so it's gotten translated into English, so it is a little bit weird to read. I did have to read over it several times to make sure I was doing the right thing, And I actually really like the way the short rows turned out her way, and I kind of want to do that in the future on a lot of my patterns because it's seamless. Like I can't even tell where my short rows were. And I don't know that that necessarily has to do with how her pattern was written. I just really liked the technique of it opposed to what I had been doing. So that's kind of cool that I learned that. That's really the main thing I had to say about the pattern itself. It's a really nice pattern, but it can be quite confusing to a new knitter. And then I do have several flaws in this sweater with my raglan increases. I think I just like did the wrong thing at the wrong place, like the make one right, make one left. I think I got those mixed up because you do them on the wrong side too. So it was kind of confusing to me trying to keep it all straight at the same time. But honestly, nobody's gonna be able to tell except for me. Like there's like a small little hole there, but like I'm the only one that's gonna know that, so it's fine. And then I did notice last night before I went to bed when I was knitting on it, I forgot to do the raglan increases on half of it. So I did the first 2 raglan increases, and then on the other side I forgot to do those. So I had to go and kind of jimmy those together, but again, it's only something I'm going to know that happened, and as long as my numbers match, I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't seem like it's making my raglan look weird or anything, because again, it's only 2 increases per raglan, so I don't think anybody's gonna notice. This is a fairly oversized sweater. I believe it's supposed to have a lot of positive ease, so I am gonna try it on before I get to the appropriate amount of raglan increases just to make sure it's not too baggy. Again, I don't have a ton of yarn either, so I want to stretch it as far as I can, and I don't want something that's massive on me because I'm very petite. So I'm just gonna try it on to make sure that I want to keep going or if I want to stop, because it is looking pretty large already. I know you can't tell on the needles because I'm using a 22-inch cord, and I should definitely be using something larger. If you're interested in the needles that I'm using my very favorite Chiagu needles with the red cord. I think they're called red lace. The Chiagu are gorgeous to work with. They just glide, and I love them so much. They make knitting such a joy. If you're a new knitter, they may not be something you want to try out just because your stitches can fall off of them quite easily because they're so smooth. But for me, it's the cord. The cord doesn't have the memory in it, so it doesn't keep the shape, which is super important for knitting needles in my opinion, because I seriously hate when like they're all curled up and then your work tries to curl. It doesn't make it enjoyable at all. And then the join on them, these are interchangeable ones, and the join never comes apart. Like I have to force the needles like off, like they're kind of hard to unscrew sometimes, so that's really nice. Honestly, that's a great feature. So if you think that Chiagos can be kind of expensive, like totally worth the price, I 100% recommend them, and I don't think they're any more expensive than any other needle that I've ever used. So I am making the size extra small. The dimensions of the extra small were what worked best for me, because like I said, it is very oversized, so I just decided to go down a size on that. Everything in the pattern is done in centimeters, so it's kind of like I have to convert it to inches to make sense to me, because I don't see things in centimeters, I see them in inches. Like I can kind of envision inches in my head, but I can't envision centimeters. Plus, like when I measure myself, I'm 36 inches at the bust, not like whatever centimeters that is. So I did have to do some converting on that. Totally fine, so easy to do. You can go to Google and you can type it in and it'll tell you. So I think that's really all I have to say about my no frills at this point. Hopefully by the next podcast it will be all finished and I can show you guys, but it's so squishy and soft. I can't wait to wear it. Like I said, if I have enough yarn, I would ideally like to have it on Saturday so I could wear it out to we're going to like a heavy metal show, like kind of random, but one of my husband's friends is in a band, so that's kind of what that's about. But I am gonna show you, this is how much I have of my first skein left. I haven't weighted or anything. It does look like it's about halfway gone, and I'm almost through with the raglan, so there is hope. I might shorten the sweater a little bit. I am very petite, so I don't always have to make things as long as the pattern says, which is really nice. I'm only 5'1", if you guys are curious, so there's that. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this sweater at this point. Hopefully it will be done for the next podcast. I cannot wait to block it. It's It's my favorite thing about knitting is blocking. I love putting it in the water. It's so satisfying and you're just like, it's finished. So that's my no frills. And I think that is all of the knitting that I have to show you this time. I know, not very much at all. Usually I have like a ton to show you guys, but I haven't worked on anything else. I have my Sunset Highway, haven't worked on it at all. And then my tea leaf sweater that I showed you last time, also haven't worked on it. So yeah, let's go ahead and move into sewing. If you guys are interested in sewing, then you can skip forward. I don't really think I'll be talking about anything else, but who knows? And if you are not interested in sewing, then thank you for staying tuned for my knitting portion, and I will see you guys next time, where hopefully I will have more knitting to show you than I did this time. But I'm going to hop right into what I've been working on. Okay, so I have always enjoyed sewing on a sewing machine like forever. I learned in middle school in home economics, but then my aunt is a pretty decent sewer, so she is the one that taught me how to sew. And I had a sewing machine for a while. It was a really old one and it sucked and I hated sewing on it, so I didn't use it that much, so I ended up just getting rid of it. And I kind of just like had this itch to start sewing again, especially sewing project bags. I've grown an obsession for project bags, which I don't know where it came from, but I just started to adore them. So I really wanted to get a sewing machine so I can make my own and possibly start selling them within the next few months. But I have to improve a little bit. It's been years since I've sewn. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and Let Go and all those places trying to find a decently priced sewing machine, because I didn't want to buy a really expensive one and not enjoy it like I used to. So I found a brand new Singer sewing machine on Facebook Marketplace for $25, like brand new. And I was a little skeptical, but I was like, it's only $25. If it doesn't work out, it's not that big of a deal. But luckily it did work out. It's beautiful, it works perfectly, it does everything I need it to do, and I couldn't be happier with it. I'm so happy with that purchase. So I instantly went to Joann's and bought some fabric and just started playing around with project bags. So I am the kind of person that doesn't like to use like the same fabric over and over again, so I like to shop in the remnants department, the remnants little bin, and then the fat quarters. So I kind of just like make unique project bags, like one of a kind is kind of what I'm going for, so no two will be exactly the same on those. So the first project bag that I made is actually holding my Sunset Highway right now, and there's a pocket in the front here with my pattern in it, so that's really nice that it can hold my pattern. But this was the first project bag that I worked on. It's not my favorite design, and I will show you that I found the favorite pattern that I like working with, but it does have like this nice handle here, which I did a lot of different fabrics. So as you can see, there's kind of a lot going on, which I really like. And then it has a drawstring as well, and the inside has that same print that the handle has. So that's kind of fun. There's no pockets on the inside of this one. It's just pretty basic. I did a poll on Instagram and a lot of people were like pockets, so that's something I'm going to be working on. This one does have a big pocket in the front though for the patterns, which is something I really enjoy about it, and I think I might incorporate that into the design that I ultimately decided I liked the best. But I'm still working on alternating it to make it perfect, so there might be a front pocket coming to those as well, or just like the larger bags that I plan on making. So far, I've only been making these medium-sized bags, which are the size that I personally like to use the most. They're not too big, not too small. They can hold a sweater, but they don't take up a lot of room either. But that's all I have to say about this one. It's not perfect. My seams don't line up. This was the first thing that I sewed on that sewing machine that I got, and I was very happy that it looked like a bag, it works like a bag, and that's all I needed from it. It doesn't have to have the seams lining up just yet, because it's for me. So that's the first one. And then I went ahead and made a second one for myself, which I used for my Marettimo top. So currently it's empty, but here it is. This one got a lot of hype on Instagram, which was crazy. It just has this really, sorry it's like fuzzy, sorry. But it has a really cute print of like mountains and cabins on there. I'm calling it my little cabin bag because it's got little cabins on it. And then it has 2 handles, which I decided not my favorite part of it. I like it. I do use them, to be honest with you, but I don't think they're going to be on my future bags unless you guys think that you like that feature. And then it has this really nice fabric on the top, which is a stretchier fabric, so it was kind of hard to sew with opposed to the cotton. And again, it's a drawstring, which stays closed really nicely. I'm really happy with that. And then the inside is just the same black fabric. And there's no pockets in this one either. Not a single one, which personally for me, I don't like pockets in my project bags, but that was like the biggest thing people said is they like pockets. So I'm thinking about adding in some pockets to the front of this, and then you'll see that I did add some to the inside. So there's that one. And then I went ahead and made this one, but I forgot to put the interfacing in, so it's a very floppy bag. And it's not really my style either, but I really liked the fabric for, you know, I thought other people would like the fabric a little bit more. Since there's no interfacing in it, it did get quite wrinkly, so I need to iron it again, but this is just what it looks like. There's no handle on this one, no pockets, and then the inside has this nice leafy print. So this one is going to be added to a shop update eventually whenever I get to that point, but it's going to be months before that happens, but it's going to be at a very discounted price. So if you do like this bag, it's probably going to eventually be up for sale. And my lines are pretty straight, pretty happy about that. And then the seams, they kind of line up. They line up better than the first 2 bags that I did, but that's that one. And then the final one, this is the newest one that I've done. I do have one in progress for a friend that I want to make for her, but that's not gonna be in this video. And I need to clip my ends on here, to be honest. I'm ripping out the seam, so if you see any loose ends, that's what it is. I wasn't happy with the way that the seam turned out, but this is kind of like my first little cabins bag that I showed you, but this one has like a little handle here, and I sewed on the fabric upside down because I can't do anything perfectly. And then I did add a nice big pocket to the inside. I hope you guys can see that. So there's like 2 little pockets where you can put crochet hooks or pins or something, and then a bigger pocket where you can put like stitch markers or whatever you have in there. And then it's just a medium-sized bag, same size. This is what they look like closed up, which is, I love them. I really do want to add like an outside pocket because I do like the feature where you can put your pattern in there. And then these seams line up perfectly. Like, I wish I could show you, but it's black. I don't think you'll see, but they line up absolutely perfectly. So I'm proud of myself on that. I am getting better as the times go on, that's for sure. And this is really my favorite combination. But unfortunately I am all out of this fabric, so there won't be any more of that coming up unless I can get my hands on some more. But overall, I've been really enjoying this new little hobby. I have a goal of making myself a dress to go with some of the sweaters that I'll be knitting. I have a vision in my head for a big flowy linen dress. I did get the fabric for it to go under my Nordica that I want to knit with some mustard yarn. And so yeah, so that is all I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. I think that's about how long it's been since my last podcast. So not a whole lot of knitting, more sewing than anything, and I'm kind of happy with that because sewing is something that I really enjoy. Every time I do it, I just get that memory of working with my aunt on little projects. Right before I moved away from my hometown about 5 or 6 years ago now, she actually helped me make a t-shirt blanket, which is currently over there, but it's just such a fond memory that we spent an entire day doing that together. It was like the day before I moved, and it was just really nice to spend that time with her and my mom. My mom was there as well. She's not a sewer, but she helped me cut some things out, which was nice, and they're twins, so it's always fun to hang out with them because they're so funny, and everybody always says I'm their triplet because I'm like a spitting image of my mom. So that's a little bit of personal story there. I don't do that too much in my podcast, but it's something that I want to include more of so you guys can see my personality and where I come from and the things, why I do some of the things I do. But yeah, this is probably a pretty short episode this time, which is totally fine. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you want to leave a comment down below of what your favorite thing in the video was or any video suggestions that you have. I know I'm slacking on the tutorials lately, but I definitely hope to get more of those up soon. And I had a few requests for showing like alternating skeins, and I want to do a blocking video, so definitely stay tuned for some of those coming up soon, I hope. And if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to be notified whenever I post more videos like this one or tutorials or whatever I have going on in my brain. I just like to film whatever I want. It doesn't necessarily have to be yarn related, but it usually is. So anyways, I'm gonna stop blabbering and get off of here and go walk an adorable little puppy, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!